Hi friends, today I'm going to talk on quota base and availability base. What is the difference when to use the quota base, when to use the availability base? It totally depends upon the business requirement. So you have to understand the scenario when to use the quota base approach for a capacity area and when to use the availability based for a capacity area. So suppose I have a time slot 8 to 10 a.m. So it's a 2 hour, 120 minutes, but I have two resources. So two resources, so 2 into 120 minutes. So my total capacity is 240 minutes. This is my total capacity for between 8 to 10 a.m. And suppose there are task duration is 60 minutes. Suppose I do the appointment bookings and each appointment is of 60 minutes. So 240. So it means total I can book total appointment I can book 4 appointments I can book. So this is my exact capacity, totally exact capacity that I can book maximum 4 appointment. But think from a business perspective. Suppose there is a cancellation. So what I do, I will set a quota for this time slot. Here you can see time slot is there. So I have set the quota for this time slot is 200%. So my exact capacity is 240 minutes, but now I'm going to consider it 240 minutes. And if task duration is 60 minutes, then I will book total, I can book total 8 appointment task. So this is the example of overbooking. So this is possible in quota-based time slot approach, booking approach, where we can set a booking quota for the time slot and we can book, even we can do the overbooking, anything we can do. So here you have to understand that it is not based on the exact capacity, because our exact capacity is 240 minutes and totally I can take 4 tasks. But here I have said the quota 480 minutes and total capacity is total. I have booked 8 tasks. So suppose the date is 26th August. So when 26th August reached, I found that I have booked 6 tasks. So what I can do, I can pull some other resources from some other bucket and they can fulfill the task. So this approach where we are not considering the real capacity, we are just booking based on our quota, whatever I've said, 200%. So this approach is called quota-based booking approach. So this is the first example to understand what is the quota-based approach. Now we don't want to go with the overbooking or based on the quota. We want to stick on what is my real capacity. So my real capacity is 4 tasks. So if you are going with your real capacity, then it is availability based approach. Whatever is available, I will go with that. I'm not going to do overbooking without my capacity, without my calendar, because this quota based time slot, it will not consider the calendar of resources. It will not consider the calendar of resources because we have defined the capacity of 200%. It will. So if you have to consider cancellation, then you can go with the quota based approach. So quota based approach does not consider the calendar of the resource. It only consider the quota that has been assigned for that duration, that time slot, and it can do overbooking also. So on 26th August, you can pull some other resources from some other bucket and you can assign to that capacity area and they will do the task. But if you want to stick with your real availability, the 240 minutes only, total 4 tasks, then you go for the availability based booking. So if cancellation is less, if your business requirement is like nothing will be cancelled, then you always go with the availability based approach. So availability based approach require proper calendar. Calendar should be proper, otherwise it will not work properly. So your resource, your technician calendar should be up to date, then only it will consider the exact capacity. So if the calendar is up to date, then it will have the exact capacity, and based on the exact capacity it will allow to book the task. So this is my availability based booking. And quota based booking, where I've set the quota and I'm doing overbooking. I don't consider the calendar of the resources. When the date will come, if enough resources or technicians are not there, then I will pull it from some other bucket and make it working. Now I'm going to give you another example to understand the difference between quota based and availability based. Suppose this is my time slot, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, and 12 to 14. If my activity task duration is less than this time slot or equal to this time slot, then we can go for quota base. This is also a way to decide which approach should we go. But if my activity duration is more than 120 minutes, then we should go for the availability based booking approach, because it will start from this time slot and end in this time slot. So if there is a overlapping, then we cannot go for the quote based. We should go for availability based booking approach. Whenever we will go for availability based booking approach, our capacity will be calculated throughout the day, because availability based approach works on the real capacity. So calendar should be highly accurate, capacity will be accurate. So this is the one approach to decide if we can use quota based or availability based. Now in my next example, suppose this is my time slot and one activity is already booked. So if I have selected availability based approach and my task is 90 minutes. So whenever we'll call for API for grid for time slot, available time slot, suppose I have called an API or I'm going to grid for time slot, and my time slot, my activity duration is 90 minutes. So and this is availability based. So my activity can start here and will end here. It will start in 8 to 10, but it will end between 10 to 12. So this is also a available time slot. My activity can also start here and end here. That is also an available time slot. My activity can start here and end here. This is also an available time slot. And my activity can start on 14 and end here after 19 minutes. So I have selected availability based approach. So it can start in any time slot and can end to any time slot. So API will return the available time slot is 8 to 10, because my activity can start between 8 to 10. My activity can start between 10 to 12. My activity can also start between 14 to 16. So availability based approach will return these time slots where activity can start and continuously consume 90 minutes and end. This is availability based approach. So this is 90 minutes, so it can be completed within one time slot. But I have selected availability based, so it will show all possible combinations. If I have selected the quota based approach, then it's a time slot based approach. So it will not consider this one. It will start from 10 to 12. So it will start here and the activity will end here. Next, it will consider here, but this is only 60 minutes. So, and the duration is 90 minutes. So it will not consider 12 to 14. Next, it will consider this 14 to 16. So when we'll call put API grid time slot, so it will return 10 to 12 and 14 to 16 time slot. So I will get this time slot as in a response if I've selected the quota-based time slot approach. But availability-based approach, now I hope you are clear when to use quota-based and when to use availability-based. Both has their own pros and cons. In quota-based approach, we can do the overbooking. We don't much consider the calendar of resources. We can pull any resource. If overbooking is there, we define the quota and accordingly we book the task. If there is a number of cancellation, then we should go for the quota based. But if we want to book on the real capacity, then we should go with the availability based approach. Availability based approach require proper up-to-date calendar. Capacity will be highly accurate, and capacity will be calculated throughout the day so that real number will always be available